both came here from a mutual kind of interest in kind of history and just like wanting to expand our knowledge on different subjects and things. But what kind of area of history did you start off with?
Well, before I say something about that, I think it's important to say that we've been really good friends for a long time, and we've often brought, both in kind of political sense, but also in topics of history that we're interested in, we've kind of brought different dispositions to those. So we're often able to show the other something interesting that the other hasn't seen. And I think, again, that goes back to the kind of echo chamber issue. And if we can kind of change the echo, if we can reach across that divide, I think that's very important. But to your question, I'm half American, so and my American half is from the South. So inevitably, the American Civil War is utterly fascinating to me in all of its many shades, and there are many shades. And I think the American Civil War is often one of those topics because it's around such core kind of ethical issues like slavery. I think some of the nuances can get lost, both from the North and the South, and it's by no means, it's one of those conflicts where either side is by no means kind of 100% good or 100% bad, or there's lots and lots of nuances. And I think some of my own family history, especially being from the Upper South, North Carolina, there's a real ambivalence around the Confederacy, around slavery, and there's some really interesting stories around deserters. If you've seen the film Cold Mountain, that's a really good example. But yeah, so I love the American Civil War. I love. Recently, I've been writing a PhD, a biography of Bernard Levin, the British journalist, and that showed me the immense, incredible kind of variety of events in 20th century British political history, because we know the kind of broad contours, but there's some absolutely fascinating stuff in the kind of margins there as well. So I'm sure this is all stuff we'll go into. But tell us, Jacob, about some of your interests.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all kind of have different views on different things and different areas of interest. I say personally, I've always been fascinated by history. Just more so from a curiosity to just learn about different things that have happened in the past. And I always found it so fascinating, especially learning about like ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and these really,
You've been thinking about the Roman Empire.
I've been thinking about the Roman Empire constantly. It wasn't just a TikTok trend to me. It was more than that.
So it's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
State of mind.
But I was always fascinated by like Greek mythology and the different sort of stories that came from that and the way that they were told, just the way that the society worked. Like thinking back is thousands of years of history, and all the stuff that you're learning about happened thousands of years ago, and it seems kind of crazy that was there. And
we're quite used to the kind of Judeo-Christian God who is sort of nice, maybe not in the Old Testament, but certainly in the New Testament. Yeah. So the Greek gods are fascinating because they're so capricious and human, and I think also something I spotted recently, and we can talk about this on another episode, is the concept of forgiveness didn't really exist in Greek and Roman culture, and was kind of largely a Christian invention. And so that's a sort of one of those things you think, wow, okay, because when we think of Roman society, it's quite brutal. It's quite it's vengeful. It's retribution is the kind of order of the day, and it's one of those interesting kind of nuggets that you think, oh yeah, well that's something in that.
Yeah, and also to that point, I mean, obviously in Greek society you had, and Roman society as well, it was very heavily based around honour and respect, rather than maybe so forgiveness. But there was always kind of a level of respect given to kind of outsiders and people who would come along. You'd give them like food, you'd give them water, you'd take care of them. Yeah. And those kind of values were present throughout their societies. But yeah, obviously the ancient world fascinates me, like Egypt as well to a degree. I never really did any formal education on Egypt, but
I'd like to know more about that, so maybe you can.
Yeah, I think we can dig into that. I'm pretty sure.
Educate me on that one.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, I really love learning about kind of like the world wars, the Cold War, and just kind of like the geopolitics between those kind of
endless
as well.
Facets to explore that.
And again, like I wasn't ever taught about the Cold War in school or anything. Like, I mean, I got
a bit of it.
Quick fire question. What's one topic, like one specific topic that you're looking forward to going into in this podcast?
Ooh, Well, I don't want to give anything away about today's topics.
Or our next couple of episodes.
Yeah, or whenever it comes
Whenever
out.
we upload them.
Yeah, when we find the time.
We're still learning how to do all this stuff. So,
Technical errors are plenty. I'd say probably the American Civil War. It's the period in which I have kind of delved deepest and kind of mined the most stuff from. And I think the deeper you go into a topic, because I'm definitely somebody who believes that like I'd rather know a little bit about a lot of things than a lot of stuff about one or two things, because I think you're much more likely to have a kind of broader perspective on things if you can kind of spread yourself widely. But of course, there is nothing quite like just really, really, really drenching yourself in one particular period. And for me, the Civil War has it all. It's high drama. It's the moral questions. It's foundational to American civilization. And the Civil War, I think, more than anything, is, if we're talking about past as present, going around the American South today. It's everywhere. It's the battlefields. It's the guys in Confederate t-shirts and caps who go to the battlefield sometimes.
The reenactors as well.
It's in debates around history, around statues. We had the big sort of statue toppling moment. That's essential. Civil War is essential to that in the South. But also a sense that especially in the South, one can be a liberal and still be, I suppose I'm saying that in the American sense of the word, one can be a sort of Democrat, if you like, but also take pride and take joy in the purely military history of that period without having to kind of constantly apologize for the obvious moral failings of the South. So it's a fascinating one, and you know, there's so many people you talk to there who are quite clearly not kind of, you know, foaming at the mouth racists who are just totally enamored with the kind of gallantry of the soldiers, of the generals. The South had some of the best generals from West Point, Lee, Jackson, all the rest of it. So that's a period I'd say. What about yourself? What are you most looking forward to covering?
Well, I mean, there's a variety, as I'm sure we'll both discover over the course of this, but I actually really can't wait to dive into, well, first of all, the Cold War, and sort of different stories around that. But the biggest one I'd say would be the life cycle of empires throughout history, because there's a kind of, I don't know if you call it a framework or kind of like a standard that like historians kind of apply to lots of historical empires and sort of suggest that there's a specific life cycle of an empire that might be longer for some than it would be for others. But there's always defined periods of an empire that then lead to the fall of that empire. Obviously, you could point to pretty much any empire in history, whether that's the Roman Empire, the Macedonian Empire, towards the more kind of modern empires such as Byzantine Empire. British Empire. I was
going to say us,
British Empire, or lots of other different countries.
And then you can talk about sort of neo empires, if you like America. You know, they don't have an official imperial kind of presence.
But also in the definition of their actions, there's also aspects of American policy, like foreign policy, which is in some ways imperial. But obviously that the way of the world changes, and the sort of standards change, and I think it's interesting to go into those kind of things. So really looking forward to that. And
just a final note on that, there's a fabulous documentary for anybody who's interested currently on BBC iPlayer. Called Corridors of Power, and it's all about America's role as the quote-unquote world's policeman, and all of the various genocides, conflicts around the world that America was sort of umming and ahhing. Do we go into this one? Do we not? You know, which ones that they've gone into that have gone badly, which has kind of stung them, and they've gone into themselves, and another one comes along and they say, oh, maybe we don't get involved in that one. So that I would recommend, and that's sort of the period I'd say it's sort of from. I think it takes you from the kind of first Gulf War through the Balkans.
There's so many things.
So much there. Through to the Iraq War, Afghanistan, all the way up to Syria. So that's a brilliant documentary with some amazing interviewees from the sort of high echelons of American power. So I'd really recommend that.
Oh yeah, but that's going to be really fun to dive into. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this. I'm very much looking forward to starting.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, and we're hoping that you enjoy the ride as well. So.
Indeed.